Next up is a garden for those who love technology, the LG EcoCity Garden, designed by He Huang.
I wanted to design this garden that would help to reduce the air pollution, as well as to allow and encourage people to use beautiful outdoor space which integrate with indoor space.
Yeah, that's true. Well, coming up tonight, we'll be meeting an amazing woman whose visionary ideas at the show could help us adapt better for life in a modern world. In cities across the world, outdoor space is at an all-time premium, and the need for gardens and green spaces in the urban jungle has never been more important. One woman who wants to solve this dilemma is designer He Huang, whose garden has ingeniously merged planting and architecture. A few weeks ago, Nick Bailey met He on a tour of the city spaces that have inspired her Chelsea garden.
Life in the capital is frenetic. Our senses are being bombarded from every direction. Today, more than 4 billion of us are living in cities around the world, and that number is rising. With more people, vehicles, pollution, and a lack of space, we're struggling to come up for air. With these daily pressures on living, green spaces, be they public or private, are more important than ever before. I've come to meet He Huang, a designer who's tackling this problem head-on with her Chelsea Flower Show garden.
This year, Chelsea Garden is to combat air pollution. One thing that it was quite surprised me is that 7.6 billion world population, but 60% of the population lives in the city and 90% breathing toxic air, which is exceeded World Health Organization limits. It makes me feel like I've got to do something. So, yeah.
We're in a green space here at Shepherd's Bush, but I understand this isn't nearly enough to tackle the problem.
We've got 8 million trees in London in total, but clearly it's not enough to combat with this problem that we are facing.
So how does your garden tackle pollution?
So I'm creating an ecosystem garden. Selected trees being planted, especially for the air pollution. I'm maximize the greenery space using vertical walls. There are renewable energy, solar windows, solar panels. It's creating a small oasis for city living people.
So your garden is just a small model of an idea that can be rolled out more widely across cities?
Every building could have this design, and I want politicians and planners can take that ideas and make it work. I wanted to bring you here in Edgware Road to show you this. This is a very, very good example of integrating building facades with horticulture design and plants more in the city.
It's pretty spectacular.
40,000 plants.
40,000, wow.
Yes,
Okay.
over 15 species. Mostly leaves with very complex shapes, waxy cuticles, some of them very hairy fine. They tend to absorb particles much, much efficiently.
So they literally stick to the leaf and then it draws them in?
Yeah. And one of the things that I wanted to mention, there's moss underneath the plants here.
So this is moss that's naturally started to grow on the compost? Yeah.
And some of the moss species are fantastic to tackling with air pollution. 12 square meters of moss gardens have the same beneficials, having 275 trees.
Wow, so 12 square metres of moss
Yeah.
is equal to 275 trees
Yeah.
in terms of how much it can soak up.
Yeah.
And that's incredible.
This is the Norman Foster's building, roof garden at Crossrail. And I think it's just amazing to have one of these, and we should have 1,000 of this.
I mean, it's a great example of how you can bring the constructed or built world in line with the living organic world, and the two things are in this sort of symbiosis together.
Yeah.
So what is it about an environment, a planting and a structure like this that really inspires you?
Escape. from the madness and breathing a clean air. The planting is just very natural. Also, the texture is just harmonizes everything with all different species. And you've got a very, very good cozy indoor feeling in here, which I think works really well. And that's what I try to approach in the garden.
So it seems that the future is all about using an integration of design and horticulture in a smart way.
Absolutely. This smart city is the future, and other countries are already doing it. And I think we really need to think about this very quickly. That is, I think, is the future that we should go.
Hey, it's absolutely fantastic to see your garden it's come to fruition, and it looks superb. The planting is so rich and lovely, but actually it's some of the planting in the back of your kitchen area that's the most significant part, right?
Yes, it's a garden, herb picking garden, I would say. It has a system of the aquaponic system. It's called aquaponic system. It's aqua plus hydroponics, so it doesn't require soil. But it grows with water and fish waste, because fish waste has amazing nutrient to feed for the vegetable growth.
So the pool that we're stood above now is full of goldfish, and you're saying that that is actually feeding through into your wall?
Yeah, indeed, yes. So it's very, very sustainable, renewable energy. That was my consideration when I designed this garden. I wanted to show something that is actually future renewable energy. It can integrate with gardens. So, for example, solar window you see as a skylight there. That's amazing because they provide the electricity, and it runs the entire garden. I have 120 lighting within this garden, TV, kitchen appliance, everything is run by this tiny, beautiful solar window.
Fantastic. And I mean, it creates a superb space back here, having this sort of in-out kitchen area. It's absolutely lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, this pond, of course, it's doing the aquaponics thing for you, but it's also incredibly beautiful and so lovely to have the sort of goldfish moving around and that bit of animation.
Yeah.
And I'm so struck with this planting. It's such beautiful, beautiful colour tones, and it sort of, for me, it links the whole thing together.
Yeah.
I think it works very, very nicely.
I'm glad you like it.
And so, what was your inspiration for this approach to the planting?
The planting, I studied 1 year florist course, and I think the inspiration came from there. So mixing with different color and texture and different height, I loved it. And it's more like flower arrangement style, I would say. But I think I always wanted to play that with plants, live plants, and I think it works well because people love it, and I'm very glad that I can give some pleasure to people to look at it and give a happiness.
It's fantastic. I mean, I love the way as well that you've pulled the colours of the planting into these details in the sofas and in the cushions, and it pulls it all together as a whole.
Yeah.
It's a very nice thing. Now, I have to say, congratulations on your medal.
Thank you.
I also see the public have absolutely been loving the garden. They've been sort of 10 people deep. So that's surely an endorsement of a beautiful and successful garden. And I think what's special for me is it somehow manages to mix this fantastic romance of this soft planting that you've done with high-tech technology and also with all the sort of environmental aspects that you've built into it. So it's that perfect combination of sort of modernity, technology and wonderful romance of the past. I think it's a really superb garden, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Now, there are 10 large show gardens that filled Main Avenue at Chelsea this year, and this one by He Huang is just packed full of eco-technology. Now, you might think, where is the technology? I don't see it. And I think that's the point. It's not gimmicky, it's not obtrusive. You just might see a little lamp-like thing like this and think, it's incredibly elegant, and this black detail on the top's interesting. And I touched it and I realized, oh, it pops off. This is a solar panel, and this is a high-powered, super-efficient LED light underneath, completely hidden. Now, I looked back and I was checking out this is it a conservatory? Is it a pavilion? And I'm not sure, but it's beautiful. And then I realized that the glass cut in the top there that lets light flood through that light well is actually a transparent solar panel in itself. I didn't even know there was such thing as a transparent solar panel. You have this water feature rill that runs along the outside of the garden, and that is absolutely packed with fish, which I thought was fascinating in itself to have at Chelsea. Now, this is an aquaponic system. The nitrates from the fish are used as fertilizer to fertilize and irrigate a living wall, an edible living wall on the inside of the building. Now, even down to the planting choice, and I think this is really fascinating. Apparently, these Acer trees were chosen by the designer because they absorb 20 times more carbon than an oak tree. Even the underplanting, like I love a little bit of an Asian-inspired moss garden. It's like a lawn that you never, ever need to mow. But 12 square meters of this stuff. And bear in mind, moss is the kind of thing in the UK that a lot of designers need to get rid of in their gardens or feel that they need to get rid of. These 12 square meters absorb more carbon than apparently 275 mature trees. It is the most striking garden for me personally this year at Chelsea. And when you find out it's environmental and packed with amazing tech, it just makes it even better.
Hei Huang's Eco City Garden aims to serve as a template for sustainable urban development and cater for our more modern lifestyle. Geometric stepping stones take you across a large body of water, which is also an aquaponic system, which means that waste from the fish within it feeds all of these beds. As well as symmetrically placed Acer Genella, there are 4 flower beds containing pastel shades of oranges and yellows, like lupins, foxgloves, and geums. The focal point of this garden is this huge covered seating area that has a green roof and solar panels, and backs onto a moss garden that absorbs as much carbon dioxide as 400 trees. The aim of this garden is to be a marriage between the indoors and the outdoors, and modern design with environmental awareness.
Just have to have an English-style rustic garden. You can have the exact opposite, a resolutely modern East Asian garden. This one is filled with one of my favorite weeds, moss. In Japan, you can buy at least a dozen different cultivated named varieties of moss. Whereas in Britain, really the only thing you can buy is moss killer. And that's a shame, because for many of us who have lawns, you'll realize it's actually a lot easier to grow moss than it is grass, particularly in wet areas or shady areas, even the opposite, dry areas. It's much easier to work with nature rather than against it. A lawn that you never have to mow, you never have to scarify, that just looks and feels wonderful.
Important than the lights. This is definitely the sort of area that I do not want Mrs. Frost to see. It looks expensive, but it feels really good. The lighting's quite simple. It's an LED strip that sits and then it shines down the wall onto the floor, but it really picks up the texture of that stone. But also it's a warm light, so it makes the whole area feel really cosy. And if you're looking for something a little bit softer, why not just sort of scatter a few luminescent pillows around the place?